It's been said that the two most important days of a person's life are the day they're born and the day they figure out why. Hi, I'm Jimmy Lakey, the host of the Critical Mission podcast. I figured out what my why was. I thought early on I might be a politician. Maybe I'd be a pastor. Maybe I'd be a preacher. I started a music company. I host a radio show. But my why, it was all discovered on the streets of Africa, in Rwanda, when I met a little child that I adopted and decided I'm going to take care of widows and orphans in Africa. My organization, my why is riverspromise.org. What's your why? What about my guest? What's their why? We tell the story of people's why right here on the Critical Mission Podcast. Hey everybody, Jimmy Lakey here for another edition of the Critical Mission Podcast. Glad to have you here in the studio. If you're new to the program, new to the podcast, the two most important days of a person's life, the day they're born, the day they figure out why. And we like to tell stories of people's why. It may not be what they do on a day-to-day 9-to-5 job, but it's their why God has them on the planet, and that's what we want to tell the story of. I want to introduce to you Sabrina Jankowski. She has an organization that was really birthed out of tragedy. It's the Fentanyl Awareness Care Team, and I'm going to let Sabrina tell her story, but she figured out her why. She's a school teacher, but that may pay the bills, but there's a greater purpose in her life. And again, birthed out of tragedy. Sabrina, welcome to the Critical Mission.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Well, it was a sad story when I first heard it, and I'm sure you've told it many times, but the pain never goes away. Fentanyl Awareness Care Team started because of your son.
Yes, my son, Joseph Jankowski, 24 years old, has passed away from fentanyl. He did not know that what he was buying was fentanyl. When Joey turned 24, we all have that birthday week anymore. It's not just like one day. And towards the later part of the week, he trusted somebody that he had known from elementary who kept hitting him up on Snapchat saying, "Joey, buy from me, buy from me." And this kid had also solicited many other friends of his for quite some time. And I think he just had a weak moment because it was his birthday week. And why not party, right? So in the long run, the kid hit Joey up again. Joey bought from him. I believe that on July 11th, Joey bought from him that evening in a parking lot at a golf course, unfortunately, was the meeting point. And came home. Him and I had a great birthday dinner together and said goodnight. He told me how much he loved me and appreciated everything I had done for him. And it was after I walked out of his bedroom saying goodnight for the last time that I ever saw him alive again. The kid that my son bought from, I have actually fed in my kitchen when he was younger in elementary. So I've met this kid. He's walking free. My son bought cocaine from him that was laced with fentanyl. Joey didn't know it was laced with fentanyl. And what a lot of people don't realize is it just takes a small amount of fentanyl to kill you. He was 24 and 6 days. An awesome kid. He was right at the height of his making a career for himself, starting to do an entrepreneurship in carpentry. He was amazing with his hands, and everything was going right at the time.
Wow. I don't want to relive too much of the pain, but were you the one that discovered that what had happened?
I found Joey in the morning. When I found him, he always got up earlier than me to go to work, hard worker. And he was also leaving earlier that morning for a particular reason. And I got up, I saw his truck sitting outside and found that to be unusual. Called for him, no answer. Called again, no answer. I walked into his bedroom, and when I walked in, his dog was crawled up on the floor next to the door, which normally he sleeps with him. And I kind of got an instinct that something was wrong at that time, and I didn't realize Joey was dead until I looked at him. And when I looked at him, he was sitting straight up in his bed, and fentanyl does crazy things to a person's body. Excreting out of his nose was basically like a trail dust of foam hanging in the air. And it just circled just probably a foot long.
Wow.
It looked like somebody took shaving cream and obviously, and sprayed it out of his nose. And obviously, as I saw that hanging there, I knew immediately he was dead.
Wow.
Later on in the toxicology report, I found out that there were many things that was laced in that cocaine. A lot of people use fentanyl strips to test whatever they're doing. And even a fentanyl strip testing wouldn't have saved Joey's life because of the drug that was also in it, which is used to sedate large animals. So he died instantly. Nobody tested for that drug. And he died instantly from that and the fentanyl.
So a parent, and as a parent, I can't imagine that you recover from losing a child. And so you now go through not just finding your son, burying your son. Talk about the days, the month. Obviously, you're a woman on a mission now, but I'm sure for a while you're just in the corner in the fetal position going, this is not good. Talk about the immediate days and then what inspired you to get up and get on the mission.
It's been 2.5 years since Joey passed away, almost. And it wasn't until this past summer that I really feel like I stopped being numb. And when I say numb, you're going through the days. People tell you things, goes through one ear, out the other. My brain is not there like it used to be. It changes you as a person. Small things trigger you. I feel at this point, I'm in that stage of actually grieving more than I was before because I'm not feeling so numb to the situation. It definitely changes the way you look at everything, people around you, what you cherish, my awareness. I knew immediately after Joey passed away, being an educator, that I wanted to start a nonprofit. I didn't know how that was going to happen, but ironically, I did a talk at my school about fentanyl awareness, and an old high school friend of mine reached out to me right after that, not knowing that I had done that talk, and said, I really want to do something nice for you, Sabrina. I have the means to do that. And he kept, trying to offer things to me. And I'm like, I just appreciate your support. And one day a teacher came to me and she said, the talk that you gave at the school. And I said, yeah. She goes, well, my son at his high school this past week, kids were trying to get him to try drugs. And he said, Mom, because of Miss J's talk and knowing that I'm a hockey player, Joey was a hockey player, I just had so many connections to him that day. All I could do was say no, and it gave me the power to do that. And he said, I want you to tell her thank you.
So you want to start a nonprofit and just one step in front of the other. It's kind of hard though to get up and go, I really need to work on this, but I really just want to stay in bed. How did you find the strength to do that?
Well, later on that day, I get a text, ironically, from my classmate, and he said, how about a nonprofit? And I said, now you're speaking to me, because that's what I've wanted to do. And if you have the means to help me do that, fabulous. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm just asking for some backing, some support. How do we get this going? He's a businessman, and he, had that background. And it's taken a long time. When I first started, it's been about 9 months since we started FACT. I hit it really hard, and then I've had a big dip.
Gotcha.
Now I feel like I'm coming back to, being out of that fetal position and being able to get out there and do the things that I need to do to save other people's lives.
And that's what FACT is, Fentanyl Awareness Care Team. I'm pointing to my head like it's on. You're wearing the hat, not me. And I have, matter of fact, ever since I saw you over the summer, I have my FACT Fentanyl Awareness Care Team bracelet. You got another one we'll talk about here in a second. Back up, though. You said that the guy that sold Joey this product is still walking the street, no prosecution. I'm guessing, I may be wrong,
You're correct.
Did not know wasn't selling fentanyl. He thought he was selling a pure product, but he got it from somebody. Talk about, if you sell something bad, they know you sold it. What's wrong with the system here?
The system is horrible. First of all, it's really hard to prosecute somebody for a fentanyl death. The police basically investigated it for a very short period of time and dropped the case. All of the conversation for Joey buying the fentanyl was done through Snapchat, as I had said. And later, when they closed the case, the investigator had told me that really the only way they could pin the death on the kid is if they were to bust him and the product that he had matched Joey's toxicology report. Well, that's never going to happen because Joey died on July 12th, 2022, and the kid's not going to have the same product on him on a daily basis. So it's extremely hard unless you have concrete evidence, footage, video, that type of deal, to pin it onto the person. I don't know if the kid knew that's what he was dealing or not. Unfortunately, it later came to me through other people that he's been dealing drugs since middle school. His family's from Mexico, and from my understanding, the mother basically forced the kids to sell drugs to put food on the table. And so I think he knows he killed my son. I know that for sure.
No conversation, no phone call, no apology, no.
He fled back to Mexico. And if he's back here now, I don't know. I'm assuming he probably is. But I know that he did go back to Mexico right after that. Wow.
That's a crazy story. You've used the phrase, and one of the first conversations I had with you, I noticed that we never use the phrase in these situations, fentanyl overdose. It's a fentanyl poisoning. And that's something, because sometimes in the news you'll hear, oh, we have a crisis, a pandemic of people overdosing on fentanyl. Joey didn't overdose on fentanyl.
Right.
He was poisoned.
He was poisoned. He was murdered. My son was murdered, along with 90% of the people that die from fentanyl. 90% of the people that die from fentanyl don't know that that's what they're getting. They think that they're buying Adderall, Oxycontin, marijuana, anything that you can buy as a drug. Prescription drugs on the street and illegal drugs. Everything is laced with fentanyl. And through the DEA, if you were to test 7 or 10 pills that they've picked up, 7 out of 10 pills are laced with fentanyl. And nobody's going to go out there and intentionally buy fentanyl. The smallest amount is 2 milligrams is all you need to die from fentanyl, which is the size of a granule of salt, a granule of sugar. Will kill you. It takes your breath away. It shuts down your brain, and you instantly die. Yeah.
I've heard it said, and we don't do critical missions about mission and purpose, but there is an element that it's fascinating. I heard it said that a lot of this comes across our border. It comes across our border. A lot of it is imported then from China. And really, unless we do something, first of all, we educate kids, educate adults not to take stuff that they're not aware of the source of. We'll get to that part of the fact in Fentanyl Awareness Care Team. But really what's happening is it's chemical warfare.
Definitely.
We're America and the young people that are dying. This is chemical warfare that's coming from overseas. And it seems as if there's not, in some instances, not a lot of will to fight back and stop the chemical warfare.
That's a great point that you're making, because it does come from China. China supplies Mexico with all of the ingredients to make fentanyl, and that's the unfortunate thing about fentanyl is it's manufactured drug. So you can make as much as you want. It's never going to end until they stop supplying the ingredients to make it. And all of that's coming from China, and it goes to Mexico. The two major drug cartels, the Jalisco and the Seminole cartels, are really responsible for this fentanyl problem that we have.
This is not about getting kids addicted to drugs or people addicted to drugs. This is about poisoning a populace. It's chemical warfare, and that's something that people should be paying attention to. When people talk about our border, we'll leave it there. They should do something about that.
Right.
Fentanyl Awareness Care. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. And it's interesting because I recently read an article that the drug cartels are starting to see the problem in Mexico. So, although, their intentions were to probably have this warfare on the United States, it's starting to backfire on their border as well.
Wow. The Fentanyl Awareness Care Team, obviously, the word awareness is in there. And you just kind of talked about some of the awareness you want to bring. Kids, adults, everybody needs to know that no one's going to buy fentanyl. They're not,
No.
oh, let me go buy some of that.
Right.
They think they're buying Oxycontin. They think they're buying an Adderall. A college kid thinks they're buying something to help them study for final exams.
Xanax.
And is that what the awareness is that
Right.
you're trying to bring?
Bringing the awareness to the prescription drugs, because that's really where fentanyl, it's on the streets, obviously, in the illegal drugs. But so many people think, oh, well, I'm just buying a prescription drug through somebody from Snapchat. And the drug lords have gotten so good at making the counterfeit pills that look exactly like what you would get from a pharmacist. You cannot tell the difference between a real prescription drug and a fake one. You can put them side by side, and unless you test them, you're not going to know the difference. And so these kids, or even adults, they need something to get through the day, right? Bring down the anxiety, help them with testing and studying and everything else. And they do. They buy the Adderall, they buy the Xanax. Those are the two biggest ones. And before they know it, they don't know what happened to them. They're dead, right? And a lot of people will split a pill. A lot of these college students will split a pill. Well, when the people are making the counterfeit pills, they're not making it in like you would make a cake where you stir it and everything is evenly distributed and each bite is the same, or each pill is the same, right? Now it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, fentanyl, whatever, stir it once, put it through the pill press. The pill presses are sold on Amazon.
Wow.
For $80. And they can make up to 2,000 pills a day that look exactly like what you would get from a pharmacy. So unless you have a prescription and you've gotten it directly from a pharmacist, or a pharmacy, should I say, you should not even be touching it.
Wow. How do you bring that awareness? Is it public speaking? Are you going around speaking more? I know you've talked about billboards. How do you make people aware? Podcasts like this, hopefully people are listening. Parents are talking to their kids. You want parents to be aware of this and sit down and have, parents are supposed to talk to their kids about the birds and the bees. They better start worrying about the fentanyl as well.
Well, the drugs are coming into the elementaries.
Wow.
Kids are experimenting with drugs before they're having sex, which is crazy, right? Yeah. So my mission is to go around to the schools, mainly middle schools and high schools, and educate the youth on what is out there and to be careful and not to take those risks. What fentanyl can do to you and how dangerous it is. So many people think that you need a lot of it to die, and that's not the case. And so many people trust others, I'll give you a pill to calm you down or to help you. And nobody thinks twice about it being bought through Snapchat or other social media formats. If you're getting it through social media format, you can guarantee that it's going to be fake.
Wow. Let's give the website, talk about how they can support you, then we'll kind of bring it in for a landing. But Fentanyl Awareness Care Team, I know you've tried to put billboards out. How can people listening going, first of all, they can become aware and educate their kids and spread the message, but how do they support you? How do they help get the word out? How do they make America aware about this fentanyl poisoning?
So right now, the goal is, that I'm going through the Colorado schools to get out to as many Colorado schools and speak as I, can and have the opportunity to do. Eventually, I'd like to take it nationwide and be able to go to schools all over the United States, not just middle schools, high schools, colleges, to bring awareness. And so donating through fentfact.org would, your donations would be greatly appreciated. That would help.
Fact, FENTFACT.org.
Correct.
Make a donation that helps you spread the word. If anybody has a school or a small group, you'd be glad to come speak as well.
Absolutely.
Principals, superintendents.
Absolutely. I'm going to be going through the Brighton School District Hopefully, I'll be able to get through all of those schools by the end of the year. And next year, my goal is to get out to the rest of the Colorado districts and then build from there. But in order to do that, I do need to have other speakers come with me that have been through some of these experiences, because it's not just my word, and I would, also be able to, if I can travel, be able to go to the other states and bring awareness to those people as well.
Fact, F-E-N-T, fact.org. Now, you said it's not just your word, and we talk about this as a big number. This is the number one cause of death among certain age groups in America right now. Not drunk driving, not cancer. It's fentanyl poisoning.
Right. It's the number one poisoning between 18 to 45. And like I said, 7 out of 10 pills are laced with fentanyl. To put it in perspective, this time that we've been on, you've been interviewing me. How long has it been? 20 minutes
20
now?
minutes, yeah.
4 people have died from fentanyl.
Wow.
Because every 5 minutes in the United States, 1 person dies from fentanyl.
Wow.
Every 5 minutes, and some of the numbers are going down in some of the states. Unfortunately, Colorado is not going down. And really the belief is that the reason why the numbers are going down is because people are becoming more aware of the Narcan. So we're doing a good job of getting the Narcan out there to people, distributing it to people, getting it in the hands of, just everybody, not just people that think that, the drug dealers or any of that stuff. It's just getting it in the hands of the public, because you never know when you're going to be met with somebody, right?
Yeah.
Back in the summertime, we had a Narcan handout awareness education down at Union Station, and right around the corner there was somebody who was dying from fentanyl.
Wow.
And so the Narcan was used on that person.
Wow.
And that was brought to our attention a few days after the event.
Wow. So the website is fentfact.org. People can help contact you. You have a bracelet on. My bracelet says FACT, Fentanyl Awareness Care Team. You have a new one that you said you're going to get me one that says Live Like Joey.
Yes.
Explain that.
So this is the bracelet that we handed out for Joey's services, and it says Live Like Joey Did. Joey was a person that loved life. He loved people. And he engaged in life, every day. It was crazy what that kid could do in a day, from the time that he woke up to the time that he went to bed. And he lived it. He was always out in nature, skiing. He was a sports person. He worked hard. He lived life way more than I ever have. He's seen more than I've ever have. And he got out there, made everybody feel welcome, loved life, lived it, had experiences that were ones that not everybody gets to have. His old boss said, when I first met Joey on Monday, I'd say, like, what'd you do over the weekend? And Joey told him, I did this, and this. And the guy was like, this kid's got to be lying to me. Nobody does all that.
That's a busy weekend.
Right. Yeah. And then shortly after that, I met some of his friends, and I realized that he was telling me the truth.
Wow.
The day that he passed away, he worked a regular day, like a 10-hour day. He didn't just work, 8 hours. He worked 10 hours, went and played 9 holes of golf, came home, had dinner with me, on a Monday.
Wow. The 2 most important days of a person's life, the day they're born, the day they figure out why. Most people don't wake up on the graduation or career day and go, this is why I was born.
Right.
Unfortunately, sometimes through tragedy, you figure out I have a greater purpose now. The rest of my life is committed to that. Mine was in Africa, taking care of widows and orphans. Yours is educating children in America and hopefully bringing awareness to it. Sabrina, thanks for the time. Appreciate you coming on. That's it for this edition of the Critical Mission Podcast. Don't forget Sabrina's website, fentfact.org, F-E-N-T, fact, F-A-C-T.org. Throw her some support, learn more about her, and help spread the word and be a part of the Fentanyl Awareness Care Team. Again, 2 most important days of a person's life, the day they're born, the day they figured out why. I ask you this question, what's your why? You can make a difference. I'll see you next time. Jimmy Lakey, The Critical Mission.